Hello students, welcome back. Now we are going to see about regarding CMOS steady state electrical behavior. Okay, CMOS steady state electrical behavior. So in last class we discussed regarding some parameters, right? Logic levels, DC noise margin, and power supply rails, right? Already we discussed in last class. Okay, now we'll see part 2. The right means we see some other parameters. So first one is resistive loads. Okay, so resistive loads, here a device which requires a large current to operate. Okay, a device which requires large current to operate if connected to the output of CMOS device. Okay, a device which requires large current to operate if connected to the output of CMOS device is known as resistive load. Okay, a device which requires large current to operate if connected to the output of CMOS device is known as resistive loads. Next, the output of CMOS device will be no more ideal. That is, whenever we apply 1, we'll get the 0 to the inverter, na? Right? Whenever we apply 0, we'll get the output as 1, right? So but that is the ideal case, but practically it is not ideal. Okay, because here the resistive load is connected to the CMOS circuit. Okay, if the resistive load is connected, the output will not be ideal, right? So it is not exactly 0 volts or 5 volts, right? So if you see this figure, right, this one is the figure for the resistance model for CMOS low output. The resistance model for CMOS low output. So if you see this figure, we have applied the logic high value. We have applied logic high value, that is plus 5 volts, right? So here it is the V out, right? And this one is VTH, that is Thevenin's voltage, Thevenin's resistance. Here it is the 100 ohms resistance, and it is the resistance of greater than 1 mega ohms, and the power supply VCC is connected here, right? So if you see this figure, so this figure is for the resistance model of CMOS low output circuit. Okay, the resistance model for CMOS low circuit. So here we have applied the high input, right? Here we have applied the high input. So but here we have to get the output as 0 volts, but it is not the 0 volts. Okay, ideally it is 0, but it is not the 0 volts practically. Okay, so if we see the corresponding output voltage, right, so the total circuit we can get the V out as, so in this way, 3.33 into equivalent resistance, right? So here it is the output 0.43 volts. Actually we have to get 0 volts, right? But we got 0.43 volts. So here it is mentioned it as low volts. Actually we have to get 0 volts, but the output is 0.43 volts. Next, similarly, if you take the CMOS inverter, the input is low. Okay, in previous circuit the input is high, right? Whenever we apply 0 volts to the CMOS inverter, we'll get the output as high voltage, right? Here it is the V out, right? So we have to get the high voltage, but it is ideal condition. Okay, it is ideal condition, but we get the output as not the 1, okay, not the 5 volts, right? So if you see the output voltage here, V out equal to 3.33 volts into 5 volts minus 3.33 volts, it is the 5 volts is power supply, right? And it is the equivalent resistance, right? So you will get the output as 4.61 volts. It is not exactly 5 volts, right? So it is having 0 volts and 5 volts ideally, but it will not get the 0 volts 5 volts practically, right? It may vary some values, right? So this one is practical situation, right, because of resistive loads. Okay, a device which requires large current to operate if connected to the output of CMOS device is known as resistive load. Okay. And next, coming to non-ideal inputs. Next parameter, non-ideal inputs. Actually, the input to the CMOS inverter may not be ideal. Okay, the input to the CMOS inverter may not be ideal in all the cases, right? But because it does not depend only on the input voltage. Okay, it does not depend only on the input voltage, but also on the characteristics of the load. Okay, but also on the characteristics of the load. The input to the CMOS inverter may not be ideal in all cases because it does not depend only on the input voltage but also on the characteristics of the load. Okay, so let us assume that the input voltage is nowhere near to the power supply rails. In this particular case, the on transistor will not be fully on. So when we apply 0 and 1s, right, we can call it as transistor is on, transistor is off, na? Right? But it is not fully on and fully off. It is not fully off also, right? So because here, if you see this figure, this is figure for CMOS inverter with non-ideal inputs. Okay, here we have applied the 1.5 volts, but we got the output as 4.31 volts. But actually, ideally, it has to get 5 volts, but we didn't get the 5 volts here. We get the 4.31 volts, and it is the high value. It is the high value, right? So next one, if you see this figure, whenever we apply high value, that is 3.5 volts, we'll get the output as low value. Actually, we should get 0 volts, but it is not the 0 volts, it is 0.24 volts, right? So whenever we apply high value, the output will not be 0 practically, right? It will may vary some value, right? Whenever we apply 0, it will not be 1, that is 5 volts. It is not 5 volts. It may, the value may varies, right? So because of the resistive loads. So non-ideal inputs means it is not exactly 0 or 1, right? Outputs are also exactly not 0 or not 1, right? That are the non-ideal inputs. Actually, ideal inputs are 0 and 1, that is 0 volts and 5 volts. But the inputs and outputs are not 0 volts or 5 volts. The inputs or outputs may vary, right, ma? Whether it is input or output, right? So that are the non-ideal inputs. And next, coming to the next one, destroy a CMOS device. Destroy a CMOS device. So a CMOS device can be destroyed by electrostatic discharge. Okay, a CMOS device can be destroyed by electrostatic discharge. Here the electrostatic discharge is due to the discharge of charge. Electrostatic discharge is due to discharge of charge produced on the surface through dielectric to another surface. It is produced by the surface through a dielectric to the another surface. When we consider the CMOS input, okay, when we consider the CMOS input, the dielectric is the dielectric is used as the insulation. So insulation, no. So the current will not pass to the insulator, right? Conductor may pass it easily, right? Insulator does not pass it. Here it acts as the insulation between the input transistor gate and its drain and source. Input transistor gate and its drain and source. This insulation is damaged by electrostatic discharge. Okay, the insulation is damaged by electrostatic discharge, as it causes short circuit between the input and output of CMOS device. Okay, it causes the short circuit between the input and output of CMOS device. So if you see the CMOS symbol, right? So here it is the C. So here it is the CMOS symbol, right? So when we apply, so it is having CMOS, right? So it is the gate, right? Drain and source, right? So here, the whenever we apply electrostatic discharge, right, here it is the insulation gate, right, here it is the insulation, and this can be destroyed. Okay, if you destroy it, the drain and source becomes the short circuit. Okay, the drain and source becomes short circuited, right. So like that we can destroy a CMOS device by electrostatic discharge, right. And the other type of damage is known as latch up. Okay, it occurs whenever the input voltage becomes less than the ground or greater than VCC, less than the ground or greater than VCC, right. So the latch up occurs whenever the input voltage becomes less than ground or greater than VCC. And latch up can also occur when another system's output drives the input. Okay, latch up can also occur when another system's output drives the CMOS inputs, right. So that is regarding latch up. So latch up occurs whenever the input voltage becomes less than ground or greater than VCC, right. And it also occurs when another system's output drives the CMOS inputs, right. That is regarding latch up. And next parameter is static power dissipation. Static power dissipation. The power consumption of a stable CMOS circuit. The power consumption of a stable CMOS circuit is known as static power dissipation. The power consumption of a stable CMOS circuit is known as static power dissipation, and it is defined as the amount of power consumed by CMOS circuit when it is in stable state. It is defined as the amount of power consumed by the CMOS circuit when it is in stable state. Okay, so that is regarding today class, right. So today we have discussed regarding resistive loads, and then non-ideal inputs, next destroy a CMOS device, and then static power dissipation, right. So these are the parameters of in CMOS steady state electrical behavior. Okay, so first one is logic levels, second one is DC noise margin, third one is power supply rails, fourth one is resistive loads, fifth one is non-ideal inputs, sixth one is destroy a CMOS device, and seventh one is static power dissipation. Okay, that is regarding steady state electrical behavior, right. So that is the today class. Okay, thank you all. Thank you.